hello, family. Good evening to you. I trust that you had an empowering day. Listen, it's time to empower your thinking and change your life. Welcome to tonight's broadcast of Empowerment Monday with yours truly, Prophet C.T. Johnson. I'm excited, as I really am, every Monday to be with you, to share with you the mind of God. And tonight I have a dear friend, sister in the Lord, co-laborer in the work of the kingdom. Apostle Ashleigh Claytor is back with me tonight. We decided that our discussion on last week, the necessity of mentorship, needed to be discussed once again, a part two, taking it to the next level, the next dimension, giving further insight and understanding as it pertains to mentorship, the not only mentorship, but the entire relationship between mentor and mentee. And so tonight, as you come in, share, and share again. Let your Facebook followers know, friends know that Prophet CT is on the air tonight with Apostle Ashleigh Claytor. And listen, as you come in Facebook, again, share, like the video, like the page, and share it. And we must say hello and good evening also to our YouTube family. Hello there. We want you, if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, CT Johnson Ministries, make sure you click that bell so you will receive the notification when we are live. And we are live and we're ready to go. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in my friend, my apostle sister, all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Apostle Dr. Got to put the doctor in because she does have her own doctor.
Yes.
Apostle Dr. Ashleigh Claytor. Hello again.
Hello.
Listen, I'm so excited about you being with me again on tonight. So let's jump right into it. Let's get our feet wet and let's tackle further this subject. So again, if you are joining tonight for the first time and you weren't with us last week and unfortunately didn't have opportunity to hear the discussion, the dialogue between Apostle Ashleigh and myself, do yourself a favor after tonight's live. Go back and watch the replay. Stay tuned. Don't leave right now. But after the live, go back to the Facebook page, go back to the YouTube channel, and watch the replay of part one, the necessity of mentorship, because we're not going to recap. So you need to go watch it so that you'll know where rather you'll know why we are going where we're going tonight. But so tonight we want to deal with specifically how mentorship is obtained. And then we want to move into the dynamics of the relationship. We want to talk about expectations, what the mentor should expect and is to expect for the mentee, and then vice versa. And then we also want to discuss some unrealistic expectations that people have because, and we talked about this briefly backstage, many confuse the mentor-mentee relationship with spiritual covering, spiritual mother, spiritual father, and even coaching. And so we want to help you tonight differentiate between the mentor-mentee relationship, a coaching relationship, and then that of a spiritual covering. And so we'll get into all of that. But as we go into it, I want to quote Apostle Ashleigh from last week in her closing, her final closing. You know, we have many closings as ministers.
Yes.
We have many closings, and so I don't think you're worth your weight in ministry if you don't have at least one or two closing. Why I want to say closing? Yeah, praise God. But nonetheless, on her final closing, she said, and I quote, "Don't be in a hurry to find a mentor. The pattern is mentors find you." End of quote. And so that statement triggered tonight's discussion. So let's segue into it. So Apostle Ashleigh, first explain what you meant by that and why. How is that so? And of course, we're going to give you scriptural precedents to further substantiate and validate that statement. But we want to hear now from the apostle because these were her words.
You know how to set it up.
Oh, praise
Uh,
God.
Scripturally speaking, this is to me like the chicken or the egg. Which came first? It's the chicken lays the egg.
Mhm.
So the mature always shows up before the immature as far as nurturing and growth. Children don't pick their parents. Parents produce children. Now,
Right.
sometimes they're taken from them for whatever reasons, they may be reassigned. So, in the mentor mentee relationship, as seen in scripture, and you and I talked about this also backstage before the broadcast, Jesus picked his disciples, they did not pick him. And you have the Elijah was mentoring and training Elisha and the other prophets in their school.
Right.
Samuel was raised by Eli and then became a mentor,
Right.
became a leader. And so the pattern is that whoever is already there chooses. Dr. Price always says that somebody, before promotion happens, somebody up above has to come down to get you and bring you up. Now, many times those moments happen behind the scenes, very undercover, very quietly. And what's public is usually the confirmation,
Right.
but the actual connection is behind closed doors. When Jesus found his disciples, there was not a crowd of people. Elijah and Elisha, there was not a crowd of people. And so many times we're looking to be found in the masses. But
Mm.
this type of dynamics often happen behind closed doors. By the time the public finds out, it's a done deal. And
Right.
many things are a formality so that the public recognizes what has happened behind the scenes. But
Mhm.
as it goes, we chase that affirmation. We want to chase somebody, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be mentored by somebody who has achieved. That's the whole point, is to come up under that covering, to be shaped and molded by them. But you must first typically possibly apply, depending on the arrangement. For example, in the world, a lot of mentorship is actually chosen from internship. So before we get to mentorship, we have to internship.
Mm.
Submit yourself, join a team, not get paid. A lot of internships are unpaid internships. You're volunteering your time because what you're giving of yourself, you are receiving. You may not receive financial compensation, but you're learning the skills. You'll be able to put it on your resume by association. Somebody will choose you because they recognize the caliber of training that you had, so on and so forth. So that's what I meant when I said that first, the mentor will choose. Many times, excellent mentors don't even know, they don't even let you know you're being watched
That's true.
because they want to know motives are pure. They want to see who you are when nobody's around, when there's
Mhm.
no incentive for celebration. That's who they want to know. Like we know, even in our own organization, the people that are here without somebody having to tell them to be on duty. That we take note of that. Those who offer their expertise or excellence without demanding remuneration or reward or whatever. Not to say that a workman is not worthy of that. But since we're talking about the mentor mentee relationship, a mentor is first looking for who has the willingness to pour into whatever field or career they want to be mentored in without a carrot hanging or dangling in front of them. For example, and then I'll turn this back over to you. With our youth group, we'll have reviews and games and things like
Mhm.
that. And some of our, my kids are like, well, Apostle Ashley, what's going to be the prize? There is no prize for this game because a lot of life is winning without a prize.
Right.
The prize is that you just knew. The prize is that you studied. The prize is that you are ready. I am not going to offer a gift card to Quick Trip every game we play as an incentive for you to study, because I need you to study the Lord because you love the Lord. The reward happens to be a bonus. And mentors and mentees, a mentor is going to study that mentee to see, are they purely reward driven? Are they affirmation driven? Or are you just driven because you have the passion and you believe in it?
That's so good. Listen, I need for you all to share. So many things Apostle Ashleigh has said right out the gate. Listen, she only talked less than 5 minutes and already.
I'm full.
Listen, you're full. I'm full. We're full. Whew. Yeah. Just have a little Selah moment. Let's just lift our hands and give him glory. Listen.
Hallelujah.
Whew. So you mentioned the word internship, and I love how that applies to this dialogue, because intern, one working under supervision as part of professional training, assistant resident physician, doctor in training in a hospital. Many people, as you stated, want to be selected, want to be found, want to be discovered in the masses because of the notoriety, because of the noise
Yes.
sometimes
Yes.
that is associated, the celebration that is associated with being picked out from among your peers. Sometimes you're celebrated, most times you're not. But the point is, yeah, that is definitely bellworthy. But the point is that Elijah, Jesus, as it pertains to their mentors, their mentees,
Mhm.
they selected individuals that had already underwent training as it pertains to their profession,
Mhm. Mhm.
and even in regards to Elisha, because based upon the account, and if when you do your research there, it's evident that he was following in his father's footsteps, following in
Yes.
the family business, as it were. But my point is this: most mentees feel as though their gift, their talent alone
Mm.
is what warrants them to be mentored by the cream of the crop in their profession. But it's more than your gift and or your ability. It's you possessing the capacity, as you said, to be poured into, because mentorship is really, especially in the beginning, mentorship is gruesome.
Woo!
When I reflect, when I reflect on my mentors that groomed me in ministry as well as in my profession as a military member, it was gruesome. It
Yes.
was painful. It was embarrassing. And much of what they did on purpose to see my reaction, to see if I was even worth them
Yes.
pouring into me in a great way, as far as pouring death, pouring that which they went through, in some instances, hell to obtain. And
Mhm.
so they were testing me. But Jesus and Elijah did not choose individuals that were simply good at performing,
Come on.
but obviously they were disciplined to the point where they were able to develop something in their life that was noticed by the mentor. And
Yes.
so that's a question. What is it that you're doing, mentee, that warrants
Mm.
a mentor's attention? What are you doing that would cause them to raise an eyebrow and inquire of who you are, to inquire more regarding what it is you do, how you do. And many of us, we're just driven off of talent, and we fail to understand that there has to be a foundation of discipline, a foundation of training, a foundation of internship that
Yes.
prepares you for the next level of education that a mentor brings. What say ye?
I follow a couple of vocal coaches online and things like that on YouTube. And one of them posted today the question that people ask her is having a good voice enough to make it in the industry?
Hmm.
And when you started talking, I thought of that. And it was like maybe a 15 second thing. And the answer was, of course, no. It's all the things behind the scenes
Yeah.
that actually make somebody qualified or great, not just your talent alone. There's no shortage of talent. Everything that God created on some level has a measure of talent. So, I mean, I'm a singer. I lead worship, been leading worship, and been involved with music my whole life, basically, since I've been talking, maybe even before that. You know how babies just kind of make noise even
Mhm.
before they speak. And so, having talent, being good at what you do, many times we go from being big fish in a small pond to small fish in a big pond, and the ego struggles. The ego
Oh.
does struggle.
Mm.
And if you're a person who's accustomed to being in an environment where you're the big fish, you're the center stage, and in order to get to the next level, you have to go from being this where you are to being this. The
Right.
higher up you want to go in any career, the more of the best you will meet at every next level. And so if you're not accustomed to competing according to the rules.
Mhm.
Competition is in scripture as being necessary for many things. You will struggle. And so, wanting to be groomed by the best means you have got to have more than talent, as you were talking about. You need the fortitude for the career that you want to reign in, to be the champion of.
Right.
If you are not willing, as you started saying and mentioned earlier, to pay the dues of the person you want to mentor you, then you will not be a good mentee. Because a lot of times you want somebody who's done it so you don't have to. Now, on a basic level, when somebody has gone before you, there are dues that, like, there are dues I won't have to pay because Dr. Price did.
Right.
But that does not give me a pass to bypass the process of paying dues and earning stripes. Sometimes, for example,
Now wait a
people,
minute. Hold on. Say that again. Because see, you hope where's my bell? Because you said that does not give
oh,
you. Hold on. Now say that again because
uh,
that's worth repeating. Say that again. That was powerful.
that because you're being mentored by somebody who's paid a price, that does not give you the pass, the green pass, the pass to bypass the process of earning
Mm.
stripes,
Mm.
paying dues. Everybody pays dues.
That's it.
Everybody who's great, and the greater you become, the more dues you pay.
That's it. That's it.
Just like any larger piece of property you want to acquire, that acquisition costs more.
Yeah.
So the more you acquire, the more you pay, unless you are inheriting something from somebody and they don't have any stipulations for your inheritance. Like people, and I think I mentioned this maybe last week, people who really want to protect what they've earned have a
Mhm.
list of requirements before somebody receives the
That's true.
inheritance that they're passing down to them.
That's true.
And so, likewise, we see this Moses and Jethro. All right. Jethro mentored Moses, and look at who he was to become.
Hmm.
Esther, firstly, was mentored by Mordecai.
Hmm.
Mordecai mentored her to the point where she was chosen. And then
Right.
she was such an amazing mentee that the king's main eunuch picked her out and her maidens out of everybody else, mentored her, tested her, I'm sure. She obeyed the instructions, and they were given special place to live and provision in the
Hmm.
kingdom. And then he trained her on, listen, you got one night with this king. I'm gonna tell you how to make it work. Okay, because this man knew the king. We don't think about the ways he had to know him and those
Right.
intimate the things that he liked with his women. See, we don't talk about this with Esther. We just kind of skim over. But he had to show her, a virgin, how to please this man in one
What
night,
you say?
to the point of, which doesn't mean he just taught her how to flip things around. Okay, he gave her whatever phrases, whatever things, whatever.
Right.
Okay, you know, he
Language.
likes the stories, and he likes
Mhm.
the this and that, and he gave her the whole experience that would speak to the king, which may or may not have just been sex. Okay, because we
Right.
bring everything down to the bed in the
Yeah,
sheets,
of
but it
course.
may or may not have been that. And she was trainable enough, and she demonstrated the ability to be a queen,
Mm.
not just to be a concubine.
Ooh, ooh. Listen, you said something right there. You said she was trainable enough.
Yes,
She was trainable enough. I want to be mentored. I want to be mentored. I
yes.
know that I have talent. I know that I have potential. I know that I have the seeds of greatness. I just need them to be
Mhm.
cultivated by
Yeah.
you, Pastor Ashleigh, by Dr. Price, by Chief. But that's what you just said. That's a question that most mentees fail to
Yes.
ask themselves.
Yes.
And that is, am I trainable? Because many believe that the initial training and or basic training is the begin all, end
Mhm.
all, begin all,
Yeah.
be all. They
Yeah.
believe that as long as they have had some training or the fundamentals and or the basics as it pertains to the career field, that's all that's needed. But the truth of the matter is, training is ongoing.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Training is ongoing. I started 2 years ago in the U.S. Air Force, went to basic training in 2000. I was of no rank.
Ah,
Now I'm
hold
an
on.
E7. Hmm?
Let's go back. You were of no rank
Of
in the beginning.
no rank
Okay.
because I was an internship. I was what they actually called us trainee. They called us trainee. They didn't even call us airmen. They called us trainee. We were at
Because
the
your feet are
bottom,
still on the ground.
huh? We were at the bottom of the barrel. But even as I progressed and I successfully passed basic training, went on to tech school to be trained now in my specificity as it relates to my career field.
Mhm.
Even as an E7, in order to get to E7, I had to take training throughout my career. So training never ends. And that, I
Nope.
feel that's a misconception
Yes.
that many people have. They feel as though, well, I have the BA, I have the master's, I'm done. Well, you may have the academics, but there are still levels and dimensions of training that is needed depending on how far you want to go, depending on how great you want to be used. And
Mhm.
so we fail to understand that many people don't possess the capacity to be trained to the next level.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
They're not
Yes.
they don't possess the bandwidth that's required to be trained by an Apostle Ashleigh, by a Dr. Price.
Mhm.
You only possess bandwidth to be trained by the PITs, and they're in training themselves.
You're gonna be trained by a trainee of a higher level, a higher trainee.
Right, right, right. Listen, anything you want to say there before I take us into a question or two? Anything you want to say
Yeah.
there?
Yes. I will say too that, along that wise, sometimes people, if hold on, let me back my own thought up. If you do not understand how hierarchy and chain of command works, you will despise coming up the ranks.
That's true.
When you respect it and you understand it and value it, you embrace it, even while you're crying, even when you're mad, even when you've typed your resume for the 5th time, or your resignation for the 5th time. You're like,
Right.
I'm quitting today. You show up tomorrow. I quit
Woo.
every day of
I've
my
been there.
training, and I
I've
still
been
show
there.
up. And you
Lord have
type
mercy.
it, and you're right here. You're like, hit save instead of send. It's in your drafts. Looking at you, it's in the draft. It's in the draft. It's in the draft because you've been drafted, and your
Right.
resignation is in the drafts, just waiting to hit send, hit send. And so, if you don't understand that the people at the top communicate with the people in the middle and the bottom in leadership, to always be finding out who is up and coming.
Right. That's true.
If you don't understand that, then you'll just try and skip and skip and skip and skip and jump rank and now realize that your drill sergeant in basic training
Mm-hmm.
is a gatekeeper,
Yeah.
not an obstacle.
Oh,
And many
that's good.
people
Oh,
think
where's my
that they
bell?
are, here we go.
Hold on. Come on, Bell. Don't fail me now. That was good. That was powerful. You said that in basic training, your TI is a gatekeeper.
Right.
Okay,
And we
go ahead.
view them as an obstacle.
That's
When you
it.
come in and you don't
Gatekeeper. I know.
understand, you say you're in my, you like, you look at your what's it called, drill sergeant, let's just say, and you'll look at them and say they're in my way,
Right.
not they're the gateway, the doorway
That's it.
to the next level. Now,
That's it.
obviously there are people who are just ridiculous and they just give people a hard time, whatever. But we're talking about the truest, purest, authentic structure
Right.
of promotion and elevation. And so you cannot get caught up in the fact of, I just need to get around this drill sergeant. No, no, no. They are there to vet you,
Mm-hmm.
to school you, to prep you. You
Mm-hmm.
get to a certain level, give you inside tips, inside this. Well, trainee, if you just do this and boom, 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 boom. Now they might say it like they don't like you, but
Right.
if you have an ear to hear wisdom, you'll say, oh, they're trying to help me out. But they have to
Exactly.
look like they're yelling at me because they can't play favorites.
Right. Right.
And so you cannot view that basic training level
That's so
person
good.
as the obstacle to your elevation. You
That's so
need to
good.
look at them as the doorkeeper, the
Doorkeeper.
gatekeeper,
Mm-hmm.
because they're talking to the next level. Who's
Mm-hmm.
talking to the next level? You don't know the roundtable meetings, conversations, and discussions that leaders have about
Right.
the trainees and the people and how so and so. You know what? They actually, now they may, let's just say they had a really hard week, did terribly on whatever, but they didn't quit. But there's something in that person that won't quit. But you know
Right.
what? They didn't cuss everybody else out either. And they actually went and studied some more. They asked me if they could do that again. See, and they talk because leaders talk.
That's it.
Jesus always said he went to prayer to talk to the Father. He was always in communication
Mm-hmm.
with headquarters,
Mm-hmm.
okay, with the eternal headquarters,
Right.
and always talking. So I wanted to bring that point out that
That's so
it's
good.
easy to despise the non-glam levels and, oh, you're just, even when you come in at this level and they send you back through the bottom.
Right. That's so good. The first thing they told us in basic training is don't take it personal.
Uh-huh.
The yelling,
Yeah.
the the harsh language,
Mhm.
even at times the face-to-face confrontation, nose to nose confrontation. Don't take it personal, because you have to understand that they are in your training preparing you
Yes.
for an environment
Yes.
that is pressurized.
Yes.
And
Come
if
on.
you cannot function, if you cannot maintain your emotional equilibrium within a controlled environment,
Yes,
there's
sir.
no way when you enter an environment that you cannot control.
Yes.
Bullets are flying, dead bodies are dropping,
Yes.
bombs are
Bombs
blowing
are
up.
going off. Yes.
You will lose your composure, lose your head, literally. And so they told us, don't take it personal. You have to understand that they are preparing you for an environment
Come
that is
on.
pressurized, for an environment that is full with opposition. And that is true in the mentor-mentee relationship, where a lot of people don't understand They want that mentor to be their mother. We'll get into that in a minute. They want that mentor to coddle them and speak kind to me because I don't like a lot of yelling. I'm sensitive. I can't take, well, if you're that sensitive, then you don't qualify for mentorship.
Hold on. My
Huh?
turn.
No. Huh? You
If
don't
you're
qualify.
if you're that sensitive, you don't qualify for leadership.
Leadership. Come on here. You don't qualify for a lot of
Come on,
things,
I'm gonna
really.
walk through this camera and be in Colorado in a minute.
Well,
Look.
you come on here. You come on. Listen, we're going to move a little further, but I want to backstep just a little because as you were talking, fresh thoughts were popping up. And I wrote this down, and you alluded to this, and I wrote this statement down. Internship is the beginning to mentorship. Internship is the beginning to mentorship. Now, I want to give you all listening. Come on, hit that share button. You know this is good. You need to get this out. And let those connected to you know what the dynamics of the mentee-mentor relationship is all about, because some of you have been disappointed because you had deceived yourself in believing mentorship was something that it was not, and or you're endeavoring some to turn it into something that it is not. But in verb form, etymologically, intern. And when I saw this, I was like, "Oh,
yes,
to confine,
yes,
within set limits."
Come on.
Second to the interior, confined, internal, inner. So I wanted to go there because many people want to jump into the mentorship. I want to be mentored, but you have not successfully completed internship. You don't like the confining atmosphere. You don't like the restrictions placed on you. Come on, ring that bell.
I'm gonna ring this bell for 20 minutes straight.
You are already complaining about, well, they won't let me flow, and I hear from God, and I'm a prophet, I'm prophetic, but they're restricting me. You don't understand that the restriction equals protection. As you said, you can't see your mentor. You can't see that training instructor as an obstacle. They are the gateway, the entrance to the future that you want, but you're not willing to endure the process, and you're not willing to endure the uncomfortability that comes with internship, and then transitions into greater depth of mentorship. If you can't handle the pressure of internship,
come on, sir.
Lord knows you can't handle the pressure of mentorship. Anything you want to add there before I do have a question or two I want to drop on you, but I want to hear your thoughts regarding that since you was ringing the bell.
Well, that's an amen, because going back to what you said about boot camp, from day one, they're throwing you into a controlled experience of what you will take on. And the same thing, let's just talk about ministry. How many people fantasize about ministry being some sort of, I don't even know what, feel good, something, whatever. Ministry is brutal. And it's brutal because you're dealing with people's lives, usually in the cesspool of their soul.
Oh, the cesspool.
Yes.
Oh, Lord, I almost flew out the seat.
Did I hit a nerve? Okay. You're dealing with them in their ugliest state. It's like a doctor or a nurse being in shock that people are vomiting and bleeding all over them. Well, you are a hospital. People are coming because they're sick, ill, injured, or have some sort of mystery happening that nobody can figure out. Ministry, people are coming out of sin. They're addicted, they're divorced, they're abused, all kinds of things. They're coming out of bad doctrine, poor doctrine, can't find themselves, and needing all kinds of deliverance. It's a messy job. Dr. Price told us years ago, ministry is messy because people are messy.
People are messy.
And so we introduce people in a very challenging, hard ministry training environment because it is hard and challenging. If you wear your feelings on your sleeve, you will quit. People talk about you. Oh my God. How many people have talked about me? How many people have talked
Ooh.
about you? Written
Mm.
emails, sent letters, had conversations,
Listen,
a whole Facebook group discussion, things
listen.
going on. So in ministry, in 1 year, you are the most amazing thing. My God, you are sent from the third heaven, from the throne of God Himself. He sent you, and then a series of events happen that you don't agree with, and now you are the worst thing that ever
You're the
happened to our
devil.
life. You are the devil's spawn, the
Yeah.
offspring, not of David, but of Lucifer. And all in a matter of 60 days, because somebody wasn't able to call you directly on your cell phone. They didn't
Right.
get your number. They didn't want to go through your assistant. They wanted to talk to you directly, even some of the other things you were talking about. So being all of this is what training exposes in the beginning. Who training exposes who you really are,
You really are. That's the
who
truth.
you really are,
That's the
before we jeopardize other people's lives by putting you over them. So
mm,
we want to find out in class that you are prone to cussing people out before we put you in the pulpit. We want to find out in school if you're a cheater, a liar, and a thief.
right. Right.
We don't want to wait until we've ordained or commissioned you.
Right.
We want to find out in training if you are prone to sabotaging your colleagues and peers by
That's
what
it.
you do with your fellow students.
That's
We
it.
want to know, are you going to abuse your sheep and your staff? Are you going to whore around in your ministry? All of
Mm,
these things we want to find out in school. And so we throw you in the deep end. We
that's
don't give
it.
you accolades. We don't celebrate all of your little itty bitty achievements that amount to nothing when it comes to changing people's lives. We
That's
want
it.
to know that you're going to do something amazing and get no recognition for it. And you're not going to quit or say, well, I'm never going to do that again because I did all that work and nobody even cared.
Yeah. Mm.
All of this
Ooh,
is what internship is supposed to do.
to do.
Good leaders will say, give them that work. It's going to be impossible to meet the deadline. Let's just see what they do.
Hmm.
Okay. And you know what? People will surprise you. You have the genius rock stars, innovators who are like, actually, I went and did this, this, and this to see. You have the other people, I quit, I'm done. That means, you know what? At the first sign of opposition, you're going to close the doors of your ministry.
That's
You're
it.
going to leave people hanging. See,
That's it.
the mentor understands what all of these little actions equate to once it's in the setting of a live environment.
Hmm.
Just like you talked about the military. I mean, I can't even believe how many military friends I have who have been in combat and they've had friends of fellow soldiers or whatnot sent home. You are in a
Yes.
life, nope, had to
That's
send
it.
out so and so. They got sent home.
That's
They
it.
started melting down.
In a
They couldn't
heartbeat.
handle the stress. Their spouse couldn't handle the stress
Yeah.
and they were melting down at home and they couldn't keep their act together.
That's
And
true.
you're finding out. And so the training is designed to set up the environment. That internship, I love it, sequester you. We're going to pull you out of front and center. We're going to
Hmm.
pull you out of the limelight. We're going to
Hmm.
strip you of your titles. I mean, we've had people quit the program when they realized that they were no longer going to be acknowledged as their trainee title.
Mm. Listen, training. Yeah. Yeah. That's a bell moment. Development, folks, happens in the dark, not in the light. All right.
Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. I know this is your show. Hold on.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let them use you. Let them use you.
Babies are developed in a dark womb. Come on now,
Come
go ahead.
on. See, we want development, but we don't want to endure the process that is connected to development, or we want to critique the process. The process is what it is. All right. There is no shortcuts to success. There is no shortcut to success, and success costs what it costs. It doesn't go on sale.
Ah, wait a minute. Yeah, it's called a shortcut when it does. And we see what happens there.
And when you do that,
You
you
cut
cut
yourself short.
yourself short. See, that's why see you and I, we just flow. You know, that's how we do. That's how we roll. So
Oh,
listen, you all listen. I need y'all to hit that share button. Facebook, y'all really ain't talking to us tonight. Last week, y'all were all in the comments.
all loud, all loud.
Tonight,
Well, you know
y'all
what
not
I
saying
see?
much.
YouTube has some talking going on.
Yeah, but it's just one person talking on YouTube. We got several people watching on YouTube. But
Come on.
I think this is a subject matter that's digging in the trash can of many souls.
Yeah,
See?
sure.
Because this level of discussion and teaching, it exposes your motives, because some of us are in mentee mentor relationships because we want to gain. And I don't mean that solely from the mentee standpoint. There are some mentors that are solely mentoring for the bag. They're really not concerned about the development, the maturity, the advancement of the person they're mentoring. They're only concerned about that payment hitting on the 1st, the 15th, or what have you. But listen, before all of our time expires,
again,
right? I have two questions at least two that I want to ask you, and the first is what? Well, hold on. Let me see. Do I want that to be the first, Lord? Which one should we give first? Hold on. Yeah,
we'll praying. Lord help us.
We'll give this one. What are some of the steps and or processes to being found as a mentee? And we mentioned Elijah, Elisha. We talked about Jesus and the disciples, but help those watching who feel as though I'm ready to be mentored. I'm ready. I've endured the internship, and now I'm ready to graduate into mentorship. What are the steps? What are the processes? What is the process, and what are the steps to being found as a mentee? How does one position themselves, and not just in a physical aspect, but mentally, emotionally? How do you prepare to be noticed and or found as a mentee?
Well, being a mentee is an earned position in the authentic structure.
I like it.
So you have got to be in the place where mentors are and where they are looking for their mentees, typically through a chain of education. The chairman of the department is in certain places. So they find their mentees either because they are in classes that they teach, or they're in internships that they oversee. But so you don't apply for menteeship as though you were applying for a job in retail.
Right.
I want to work at Neiman Marcus because I want a discount from Neiman Marcus. So I'm going to work. I did retail, so I'm going to work, and boom. So I submit my application. I sit down and have an interview. I maybe do a resume. I get hired. I choose my hours. Boom, I'm in. Mentor-menteeship relationships. Now, in this context, since we're talking about really any higher level of training, genuine mentors are only looking in certain places for their mentees.
Right.
People who have passed lower levels and succeeded. Those who have an amazing reputation. Because if you have a good reputation,
now that's something right there.
Other people will do your auditioning for you.
Hey,
that's CT, I know this young whatever over here who, he do really well with you. She would do really well with you. You know what? I think I want to make an introduction. See, this is how these things happen. So your lower level or other level trainers will often open the door for you to be mentored by your next level.
That's good.
And which is why you got to stay on track. You got to stay in the training. You have to stay in the pipeline that will lead you to a genuine mentor. It's not random. It's not YouTube where somebody is just skimming and like that's an anomaly. I think we said before, we always want to make the exception the rule. Right. Justin Bieber was literally discovered by accident by Scooter. He was looking for on YouTube for something, finds this kid. He was in a little tie, I think, and whatever, doing a talent show. That is the exception, not the rule. Now, we've built a whole industry out of it, have we not? With the X Factors and the voices and the American Idols and the Everybody's Got Talent kind of thing. But
Right.
by and large, when you go back and look at a lot of those people, many of them have been doing this for a while.
That's true.
And the ones who rise often have experience. That's not always the case. And so but in this context, and I'll say because of all of that, it's kind of hurt more people than it's helped them, because they feel if I just get my 15 minutes of fame,
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
be okay. Well, guess what? Somebody giving you a platform still doesn't give you a position. You
Ooh.
can get a platform without
Ooh.
getting a position. As we see with this, how many people get the platform? Ring that bell. How many people, okay,
That was
get the
good.
platform? Oh my goodness, Lionel Richie, and he got up and he cried, and Katy Perry, and oh my God, and Luke, and we had the whole moment, and that was that. 5 million views online, no contract, no winner, no platform, no, all you had
Nothing.
was a platform. You never
No
got a
position.
position.
Lord
So
have
just
mercy.
because you get an audience with somebody great does not mean you get a great position as a result.
Mm,
And
that's good.
when you listen to what those giants tell those auditionees, they'll say it. They'll say it. They're like, oh, they have talent, but we'll see if they make it. They
Right.
win the show, we'll see if they get the contract. They get the contract, we'll see if they make it in the world. And at each and every level, they're tested and tried. But you have got to be in the pipeline of greatness in order for
Mm,
great people to discover you and find you, because truly, it's not really discovered, it's more like connected.
connected. Yeah.
And we're waiting to be discovered
Mm,
and not connected, which is
connected.
why when you disconnect yourself and try and jump rank and go around people and do all these kind of things, they haven't vetted you, they don't know you, they can't validate you. Because let me tell you something, let me lean when I say this, let me tell you something today. Somebody great is not going to risk their reputation and everything they did on somebody who won't be vetted.
Now,
They're
ain't
not
that the
going
truth?
to risk it. Dr. Paula Price is not going to risk the reputation that she has literally had blood, sweat, and tears to do on somebody who has proven they're going to degrade and deteriorate the quality of what she has done.
Right.
I like you. I don't like your people, Dr. Price. Thank you very much. You stay right over here.
Yeah.
So I like because people like, let's just say, somebody great results,
Yeah.
not necessarily the process.
That's
And a
true.
mentor wants to know, are you willing to go through the process to maintain, or whether it's for succession or just to do your own thing somewhere else? Are
Right.
you willing to do that in order to earn the right to be a mentee?
Mm. Listen, hashtag you all Facebook, YouTube, hashtag a platform doesn't equal a position. That right there took me somewhere, and I'm still trying to get back.
Come back.
A platform does not equal a position. That is a broadcast in and of itself. All right. That right there, we can spend an hour on dissecting that, unpacking that alone. A platform does not equal a position. I got to say that again.
This is
All
why
right.
we have one-hit wonders. I
Yeah.
mean, we have a whole thing that anyway, but go ahead. You were gonna say something else because
Mm.
I know we have to keep going.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. All right. Uh, Probably the last question before we shift into the last segment, because I want us before we
And our first
leave.
closing.
Yeah, and
It's
our
a
first close.
pre-close, a pre-close.
We got to have 3 minimum. But I do want us to touch the expectations. We can't dismiss or end without. But before we get to that, I do have one more question. Then I want to dialogue for the last few minutes in regards to the expectation. Help people come out of that fairy tale mindset that a lot of mentees are in, and even some mentors. And I don't want y'all to think that we're making this discussion one-sided as it pertains to the mentee, as though the mentee is the one that has all of the misconceptions, that has the issues. No, there are some cracked up mentors. All right. There are some abusive mentors that really aren't even mentors in its pure form. All right, they're manipulators versus
Yes.
mentors.
Yes.
But we'll get into that in a minute. But here's my last question. Come on, Remarkable. All right.
Be remarkable. Wake up.
What are some of the characteristics of a worthy mentee? What do mentors, and we actually hit some of these throughout the discussion, but I want to narrow them down. But what, if you had to name 2 to 3 characteristics of a worthy mentee, what is necessary? What is required, characteristic wise, mentality wise, conscious wise, that a mentee need possess before they enter into mentorship?
I'd say one of the greatest characteristics is humility, because coming under a mentor means that you are going to be under the microscope of correction and development. So if you are not humble enough, now humble doesn't mean weak.
Right.
Humble
Say
doesn't
that.
mean doormat.
Right.
Humble doesn't mean people can just cuss you out and abuse you, because that's not a mentor, that's an abuser anyway.
Yeah.
So again, we're talking within the framework of the authentic, righteous way this should go. If you are not humble, you will struggle. Your pride, your ego, your brokenness will talk for you, because a lot of times people don't realize that that type of relationship is going to expose the rawness in you, unresolved issues. Let's talk about your problems with authority that you may not realize you have until you come under this. But however, if you come through training, it's going to show up earlier than by the time you get to mentor menteeship, which is why that's important. But I would say humility is one of the greatest character traits that you need to have. We already talked about being teachable, shapeable, malleable. I would say also having, how can I say this the right way? Having like a quiet spirit, so that you can quiet yourself, calm yourself, be at peace. I would say a peaceful spirit, so that you can even receive what is coming in. You need to be studious to be a good mentee. You have to be diligent and faithful in that which is least, in that which is another man's.
That's it.
As a good mentee cannot be preoccupied with making their own thing work while they are in that position of a mentee, being tied to internship. When you're interning, like you, the prophet already said, you are on the inside. You've been cut off. You've been sequestered. You're removed. So in that mentee state, you've really got to be okay, in essence, with nothing being about you.
Well,
you can be in that mentee state. Maybe your mentor is going to take credit for what you did, just to see how you're going to react. Not to be unjust, to see how you're going to react. Because out there in this kingdom, folk gonna steal your stuff, pimp you, take it, do whatever.
What
and
you
that
say?
mentor will see, well, I'm going to see how they react to this. We're
That's
going to
true.
see later on, all the rewards going to be there, all the acknowledgments going to be there. And so you have got to have that. I would say one of the other essential things, which is not necessarily a character trait as much of a state of mind that you need to have, is you have got to actually have a respect for your mentor.
Right. That's good.
Many people don't respect the people over them.
Yeah.
They are suppressing their real feelings. They're, oh, if they say this to me one more time, no. And pretty much everything about their ways gets on that person's nerves, then you're going to have a problem. And sooner or later, it will come out.
That's true. And you really can't receive from the person you don't respect.
You do not. You don't. Nope. You'll always find a flaw in what they're doing. You'll always find a reason. If you're a good mentee, cannot have a default rebuttal response to every correction, every recommendation, every whatever. I've seen this over the years where you're trying to develop somebody and everything is a rebuttal or a redirect.
Yep. I've had those myself. Those mentees that always have something to add. And in the military, we learned that when you encounter those mentees or those airmen that always have to justify themselves or have to let you know that they have acquired some level of success.
Yes.
We learn right off the bat that we're not able to take you to the next dimension
Yeah.
of training, and you're not ready. Now, there's a possibility you may change your mind and get delivered or what have you, but as of now, that type of attitude lets the mentor know. Basically, they know what to turn off. They know when to turn off, because they're not going to give you the good stuff, as it were. You know,
Right.
They're not going to give you the aged wine. You know,
No.
you're going to get the Walmart wine in the box.
On the shelf, the end cap wine.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna get. But all right, this is so good. This is so good. We got about 4 minutes before we wrap it up. But I love those that you gave, those character traits and even states of mind, mindset, consciousness that that a worthy mentee should possess: humility, a peaceful spirit. Apostle Ashleigh was very nice about it. I'm going to go ahead and just say it. Learn when to shut up.
Yeah.
You got to learn when to zip it, study to be quiet. And I'm saying that
a real mentorship and menteeship, you do little talking.
Hardly any. And the talking that you do is when you're answering questions, when you're giving a report. Lord knows, as I reminisce on my mentee mentorship relationships in the past, again, ministry-wise and military, you spoke when spoken to, and then you learn to give your response with brevity, because they would pull our coattail quick and say, all right, I didn't ask all that. I didn't ask for all that.
Nope.
And in all that you said, you never answered my question.
Now, see, don't talk a lot and not answer the question.
Double trouble. That's double trouble. Listen. All right. So now let's, in our last few minutes, let's discuss the expectation. Because as you and I talked briefly backstage, there are many people that have a misconception of what a mentor-mentee relationship is supposed to be. Some, they expect that mentor to be their friend. They expect that mentor to be their encourager. Some expect that mentor to fill in the gaps where mom and or dad left vacant.
Yeah.
And so we have to have we have to have right understanding of what the mentee-mentor relationship is supposed to be, so that our expectations are legitimate, are genuine, and not false, not skewed. So help us understand the differences between a mentor and a mentee, between you being coached and or you having a spiritual covering. And sometimes they connect. Your mentor can be your spiritual covering. Your mentor can also coach you, possibly, but they're not always connected. So let's discuss the expectations.
Well, I'll put the plug in here for Eternity's Generals.
Get your copy.
Dr. Paul Price wrote, the end of the book, page 298 to the end, talks about the apostle in covering, mentorship in general. I think the first thing, and I'll be as succinct as humanly possible, the first thing that needs to be identified is the actual dynamic of the relationship, the nature. Because one person can think they're mentoring somebody and the other person doesn't want to be a mentee. They want to be a disciple. Those are different. And vice versa, where you think so and so is mentoring you, but they actually want you to be their personal assistant, which is why all you do is carry their stuff and handle their business affairs.
That's good.
So there, you need to have an actual sit down meeting, clarification, something in writing, actually, to say, this is the dynamic of our relationship, and these are the expectations from both parties.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, and ministry, the pressure to be relational is so great that people jump right into personal relationship. Now,
Right.
it's
Right.
personal as in we're all people, but relationships grow. For example, my mentor mentee relationship with Dr. Price started out very technical, very dry, very business, non-personal. Go to the bank, handle this, handle that. It was straight, basically administrative, with nuggets of wisdom along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, as I passed various tests and trials that I didn't even know I was taking, it grew and evolved, truly evolved into the relationship that we have now. But it took a good 10 years
Mm-hmm.
before we started getting into the dynamic that people see today.
Right.
It
Right.
took about a decade to get to the beginnings of what people see today. Now, I was Chief's friend. I mean, I was always around. I stayed in the house, hanging around, all those kind of things. And I was first a trainee, intern, and she says that I got them as interns from ORU,
Mm-hmm.
intern, and it worked up. So while there, each one of those dynamics and relationships has the potential to get personal,
Right.
has the potential to get parental, child, whatever. There's no guarantee that it will, and there's really no rule that says it should.
Right.
And in church and in ministry, we do often lead toward our spiritual leaders to fill deficits and voids in us on a personal level
Right.
that maybe should end professional, that maybe should stay professional.
Okay. Yeah.
And so the mentor mentee relationship is one of the tightest ones because you are shaping somebody at that point. Coaching, you're instructing, you're developing, you're directing. When you think about what a coach does on a team, but we see coaches who end up being mother father figures to their kids.
Very true.
So those things can roll over, but there are limits and boundaries to various ones.
That's good. One thing a mentor should expect from their mentee, and one thing a mentee should expect from their mentor, and we'll end there.
I would say, I gotta think that both parties should expect what they promise.
Mm, that's good.
Because, and I say, I know that sounds vague, but every dynamic is different.
That is true.
So, in general, a mentee should expect professional impartation from a mentor. Likewise, a mentor should expect that reciprocity in turn
Mm-hmm.
of becoming and converting from the mentee in
Mm-hmm.
general. But by and large, what both people should expect is what they promise to deliver. So whatever that's why I say you need to sit down, you need to have a conversation, you need to have agreement. For example, Rachel is my mentee, she's my assistant, and there are expectations that have been outlined about this is your job and this is not. This is where the line falls and this is not. For example, she's a wife, she's a mother, she's a
Right.
student. She is here to go to school
Right.
and to be developed primarily. That's why she moved here. So
Right.
I can't ever take my personal things that I may want her to do to override her original purpose for being here.
That's good.
So there's a whole bunch of personal things that I would love to say, do it, because she's good at anything she does. So yeah, handle this, handle
Yes,
that.
she
And
is.
she's willing, she's ready. Nope, because that's going to cut into your homework time. That's going to cut into your mother time. That's going to cut into your school time, your wife time. So
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm going to keep you right here and make my own personal life work in many ways because you didn't come here for that.
Right.
And so a mentor can't ever forget why their mentee is there. And the mentee can't ever forget why the mentor is there.
That's so good. That is so good. Well, listen.
But she does do my hair, though. I will say she's about to do my hair. Like I pull on, I pull on the gifts now. I pull on them. We schedule them. It's strategic. I just want you to know. I want you to know. But on
That's
those
hilarious.
regular things, I'm like, I'll make it work another way. Because it can snowball very easily.
Yeah,
One
it
little
can.
thing turns into 10 little things.
That's
One
true.
weekend turns into 10 weekends. And the next thing you know, you have consumed somebody's life.
That is
And
true.
that wasn't the original agreement. If
That
that
is true.
was the original agreement, then go for it.
Right. That
And
is so true. You have to make sure that the boundaries
yes,
that you set in the beginning is maintained. I love
yes.
it. Listen, we have had a wonderful time, as we always do, with Apostle Ashleigh Claytor, not just fun and humorous, but insightful, educational. And this is why I love hanging around her along with others, because the iron is sharpening iron. And it's just a wonderful time we have listening to the God in each other. I hope that, not hope, I know that you have been empowered and enlightened. You need to share this and get this word out. And also, you need to sow. I encourage you to sow into the anointing that sowed into you. The giving information is there on your screen. You can go to the website, ctjohnson.org, text to give, text CTJM. Yeah, CTJM give. Text CTJM give to
To five four two
54244.
two two four four.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
all
looking
caught
at
up.
the
I'm all
screen.
caught up. I'm all caught up. Uh, the PayPal email is info@ctjohnson.org. And then you can utilize Cash App, the hashtag $ rather, CTJ Ministries. Sow into the anointing that's sold into you. I thank you, Apostle Ashleigh. Before we go, very quickly, let our viewers know, those who may not know you,
Mhm.
don't know what your ministry offers, give them all the necessary information as it pertains to them contacting you, what your ministry offers, and all of that.
All right. Well, you can go to ashleighcministries.com. And Ashley is not Ley. I just want to put that out there. It's the way it's spelled on the screen. Ashleigh, the letter C for Claytor, and then ministries.com. I also have a cosmetics line, Ashleigh C Cosmetics. Are we seeing a theme here? Ashleigh C. Ashleigh C Ministries is the main site where you can connect. I'm an advisor through Prophetic Ed, which is our organization here. You can go to my site, it will take you to Prophetic Ed, where the services that I offer. As my side hustles, I'm also an image coach, public speaking coach, refining coach, organizational administrative coach. So if you're somebody who wants to sharpen themselves in those areas, I also offer those services. I also teach and train armor bearers, attendants. I have what's called an executive attendant training program. And so whether you want to have the technical side of you developed, the spiritual, the soul side, soul deliverance and healing, I do that as well. Ashleigh C Ministries. If you want me to be a guest on your broadcast or a guest at your conference, whether virtually or in person, you can do that and request information about booking me through ashleighcministries.com. I love it. I could not have picked a better life for myself, and most of
I
us couldn't,
know
which is
that's
why
right.
it's sad that so many people fight the Lord.
I know that's right. Listen, you owe it to yourself, pastor, apostle, trainer, coach, person who needs all of what she forementioned. You may need to spruce up your makeup cabinet.
Hey
You can
now.
do that. You may need to spruce. You may need to educate yourself more regarding your duties and responsibilities as an executive assistant. So go to her website and patronize her there, and be blessed, be empowered, be made up, be everything that you need. You can find it there
Beautiful inside and out.
through Apostle Ashleigh Claytor. I'm so grateful again for you being my guest tonight once again. Listen, You need to share this, share this, share this, share this, and share this. And I trust that you will have a productive rest of the week. All right. Have an empowering week. And we will be back next week. The Lord's will, as the old saints used to say. We'll be back next week. The Lord willing, with who knows, maybe another guest. We don't know, but we will have. Yeah, I know that's right. But we will be back, maybe another guest, but we will have another empowering broadcast for you. Also, speaking of broadcast, real quick, join Apostle Ashleigh on Wednesdays for Apostle of the Future right here on Facebook and YouTube. What time, Apostle, are your broadcasts?
9 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's live, but it's out there. If you're working and can't tune in live, it'll be online.
Apostle of the Future, 9 a.m. Central Wednesdays, and then in the midnight hour prayer on Fridays,
sometime in the evening. Really not at midnight anymore. Listen, I am wiped out by the time I get to it.
No, that's right. But hey, if you need prayer, connect on Fridays. Connect with her on Fridays, and if you need that apostolic wisdom, Wednesdays, you will be empowered. All right. I love you. Until next week, be empowered.
Thank you for tuning into Empowerment Monday with me, Prophet C.T. Johnson. Would you prayerfully consider partnering with C.T. Johnson Ministries International? Enable us to continue to declare truth and empower lives. Go to ctjonsson.org/partnership and sow your best seed today. I also invite you to like and follow the ministry's Facebook page at CT Johnson Ministries, as well as subscribe to the YouTube channel, also CT Johnson Ministries. Remember to click the bell to receive notification of live broadcasts and newly uploaded content. For further information about the ministry, products, and the various services we offer, visit the website at ctjohnson.org. Until next time, be empowered.